With the understanding of how much technology has impacted in our world today, the tax space is no exception. This takes us to the second panel session for today, which will be addressing the topic role of blockchain and technology in tax administration. Panelists for this session include Dr. Adeniyi Onamusi, Dr. Armstrong, Mr. Femi Olarinde, Naomi Thompson, as well as Mr. Alfredo Collosa. Taking us through the session and moderating would be Abiola Bonuola. Abiola Bonuola is a technology public relations consultant running an agency, Abiola Bonuola Communications, in Lagos, Nigeria. Our work involves helping tech brands tell better human stories that reach and engage their target audience using public relations strategies proving to increase sales. She has over 7 years of experience in media, marketing communications, core PR, and technology. She has successfully managed projects and worked with the world's biggest brands like Viacom Africa, MTV Sugar Niger 2018 and 2019, Ricketts, Detour and Jig 2019 and 2020, Nigerian Breweries, MTN Nigeria, Enough is Enough Nigeria, Impact R, creative agencies like Live Sports and X3M, Ideas, and tech brands like Betway, VBank, CribMB, Scheduled, Binomo, and iRecharge. Abiola recently received a partial scholarship for her MBA program at the University of Suffolk, United Kingdom. She's a graduate of mass communication from Bowen University, Iwo, and she has studied at renowned professional institutions like Orange Academy and PR Academy. She enjoys talking about tech PR, startups, marketing communications, and digital public relations on TikTok and LinkedIn. Abiola Bonuola, over to you.
Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Abiola. Hello. It's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. In Nigeria, it's afternoon in Nigeria. So let's start with the first. I would just like to introduce everybody so that you can, get acquainted with each other. So. Let's see. I'm not sure if I can pronounce your name well. I hope I get it right. Ksenija Cipek. Ksenija. Okay, right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm glad. I love your name, but I don't know how to say it properly.
Thank you.
Okay. So Ksenija, let me just talk about what Ksenija does. So Ksenija has worked for the past 25 years for the Ministry of Finance, Tax and Administration of the Republic of Croatia. She is a highly respected and recognized international tax expert who was heavily involved in lawmaking and was responsible for several tax reforms in Croatia. As a project leader, she established compliance risk analysis system and provided idea solution for automatic VAT refund based on risk analysis system in Croatian tax administration. She's currently involved as a head for tax risk analysis in a future development of CRM system, connection of tax legislation, and CRM system through risk analysis, especially in an analysis of solutions for applying new technologies. Thank you. Welcome, Ksenija.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Hello, Alfredo. I'll just introduce you. Hi. So I'll introduce you to everyone so they can get acquainted with you as well.
Hello, how are you? It's a great pleasure being here. I'm a tax professional, consultant in tax administration, and I'm working in Argentina and also for CIAT, the Inter-American Center for Tax Administration. It's a great pleasure being here. I hope all stay safe.
Okay, we definitely will. So let's go to Miss Naomi Thompson, who is a senior vice president. Hello, Naomi. I don't know if she's on yet, but Miss Naomi Thompson is a senior vice. Hi. Yes. Hi, Naomi. So, Ms. Naomi Thompson is a Senior Vice President, Legal Solutions, Exigent Group Limited. Naomi Thompson is a non-practicing lawyer, utilizing both her business and legal experience after working as an in-house legal counsel. She transitioned into a business role where she gained cross-functional experience in emerging markets, strategy implementation, and business operations. She has served as the chief of staff for the group CEO of an investment company with subsidiaries in Africa and the United Kingdom. She led multiple large strategic projects and supported the COO by executing the strategic objectives. In her role as Vice President, Legal Solutions, she has focused on legal innovation, transforming the way legal services are delivered by combining technology, artificial intelligence, and data analytics to deliver answers that impact every aspect of business performance. In short, she assists her clients to implement innovative approaches by incorporating technology into their legal delivery. Okay, so I'm going to introduce um, Mr. Michael Olufemi Olarinde. Hello, Mr. Michael. So it's a pleasure to have you here. Mr. Michael is a multidisciplinary professional. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So, Mr. Michael is a multidisciplinary professional. Okay. Hi, Mr. Michael.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Okay, so Mr. Michael is a multidisciplinary professional. He holds a bachelor degree in banking and finance. He also holds a master's degree in financial management, a certified professional accountant, chartered tax associate, and chartered human resources professional. He is a senior manager at the Federal Inland Revenue Service and presently the tax policy support to the executive chairman of the FIRS. He specializes in tax policy, legislation, and research, and has sat on several national committees for the development of tax policies and tax legislation in Nigeria. Prominent among such committees are National Tax Policy Review Committee, National Tax Policy Implementation Committee, Nigerian Non-Interest Finance Working Group, and the National Tobacco Taxation Working Group. Wow, that's a lot. So thank you. It's a pleasure to have you, Mr. Olarinde.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we still have two other guests that we're going to talk about. That is Dr. Adeniyi Onamusi. Did I get that right? I'm not sure if I got that right.
Yes, that's right.
Hello. Okay. Hello, Mr. Dr. Onamusi. So, Dr. Onamusi is the CEO, Charter Consulting Limited. He is a certified chartered accountant with 13 years experience in strategy and financial management, a management executive with experience in tax revenue generation, corporate strategy, business finance, human capital management, and marketing. A dynamic and passionate leader, mentor, and professional with focus on revenue optimization, people development, and corporate expansion. Dr. Niyi is a medical doctor with a MSc Major Programs Management from the University of Oxford, UK, that's United Kingdom. He has an MSc International Management from the University of Liverpool and a Master MA Marketing Management, University of Durban. I'm sorry, there's a lot of universities, so it's kind of getting into me. He is affiliated in different capacities with various professional institutions such as the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, Nigeria, Society for Human Resource Management, Association of Certified Chartered Accountants, National Institute of Marketing, Project Management Institute. So Dr. Nii has a lot of experience from accountancy to tax to the medical line. He is, wow, I'm impressed, sir. So it's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So last but definitely not the least is Dr. Takang Armstrong. So Dr. Takang Armstrong is a special advisor to the Honorable Minister at Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Nigeria. He is an innovative and visionary technology executive, author, and entrepreneur. He specializes in the provision of consulting, advisory, implementation, and project management services in the area of information and communications technology. Mr. Armstrong, or Dr. Armstrong rather, is an award-winning business savvy and focused executive with experience working with board members, management, and operational teams across multiple industry segments such as tax, financial services, insurance, high-tech, healthcare, education, transportation, agriculture, federal, state, and local governments, automobile, and foundations. It's a pleasure to have you, Dr. Armstrong. I'm not sure if Dr. Armstrong is available now, but it's a pleasure to have everyone here. And I think it's about time we just, get started with different questions and we get to talk about technology and taxation. Personally, for me, technology is literally the future. That is why I work with a lot of startups and tech brands. So what I do is to try to ensure that they achieve business growth using public relations. That is what I do. So it's a pleasure to be able to talk about technology and tax, which is very important for these brands and it's very important for the taxation industry, basically. So it's not enough to say, tax is just something that you just pay to the government. No, it's deeper than that. There's a lot you need to learn about taxation, especially in Nigeria, and how it operates all over the world, and what technology can do in the near future, how we're going to make things better for ourselves, basically. So which should we start with? Let's start with Dr. Adeniyi Onamusi. Hello, sir. Hello.
Oh.
Okay, so my first question for you, sir, is how can tax authorities help to improve tax compliance generally? What's your perspective?
Well, I think compliance or tax compliance or regulatory compliance as a whole is something that will always be a hot button topic,
Okay.
And especially for a country like Nigeria, we need to be able to look at the society per se before we start to talk about the issues we want to talk about. Femi being in FIRS would want compliance, as much of it as possible.
Yes.
But I'm going to look at it from an activist position and then from a practitioner's point of view, if you may. So I'll be quick about it. Now, from an activist position, why do people pay taxes? People pay taxes because they want to benefit from services that they cannot provide for themselves, and that they think that the government should provide for them, on a public access basis, on a communal basis. So that's why people pay taxes. So for things like security, road infrastructure, power infrastructure, and all of that. So people pay taxes for that, for those reasons. But what you find in a country like Nigeria is that there is no well-defined, well-articulated public benefits program, or strategy. Yes, we do projects, yes, we do interventions, and we do all of this, but the public does not have a sense of the benefits that accrue to them from the activities and functioning of government. So I think if we want to talk about compliance in Nigeria, the first place to start from is the government understanding that the reason people pay taxes, the reason people will want to be part of the tax base of any country, of any community, of any society, is because they believe there are benefits derivable from so doing that they cannot generate on their own. And that has to be woven into the very fabric and essence of government, of lawmaking, of our regulations. So, but unfortunately, for some reason, we've not been able to capture the imagination of the people for them to see that, taxes are beneficial. Taxes are not, they are not punitive. They are actually something you are doing and that you would ultimately derive the benefit from. So that narration, I think, is key, especially for a place like Nigeria. Now, that's on the more strategic, global level. But now to the very specifics. Again, Nigeria has a dual system of taxation, where you have the federal taking taxes from corporate entities, and also VAT. Then you have the state governments where people pay their income taxes. And when we talk about compliance, it's both. It's for both the corporate and the individual. So on the individual level, one thing we found out working across multiple states in Nigeria is the issue of we don't even know who the people are. So most cases, there's an identity program now going on, and state governments like Lagos, Kaduna, and some others have been able to profile employers so that they know who their employees are, and then they can begin to tax at source. But for a program like this, where we are talking about technology, I think there is a huge part that technology has to play in helping to put in place an identity system for citizens, so that we know who is who, and not just identifying them to a level of granularity where you don't just know what they are or who they are, what they are, where they work. You have a sense of their income, you have a sense of the economic activities they are involved in. And because if you have a sense of the economic activities they are involved in, then you can derive or generate or at least forecast a sense of taxes that should be derivable from such activities. The federal has been doing a good job to identify companies, especially syncing databases, the CSC database, which is the company registering database. The FRS has been able to sync with that, so at least we know all of the different companies in operation. But I think technology still has a role to play in that as well. So I'll stop there for now, and then we can come back to it because there are other people on the panel.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I think Mr. Olufemi Olarinde, I believe this question is for you because you're the government. You have an idea of what the role of the government is in improving tax compliance, basically. So, what do you think what do you think the government needs to do, especially with regards to prosecution of tax offenses? Like, do you think that a tech startup that is just, trying to build itself, do you think that the government should basically just, what do you think the government should do in terms of different companies, trying to survive in the tax environment in Nigeria? What do you think the role should be?
Okay, yeah, good morning, or good afternoon rather. Sorry, I
Good
will first,
afternoon.
your question now, you said, what do I think the role of government should be in prosecution of tax offenders?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that question now, your last part of it, you now start appealing for tech entrepreneurs or something. If you are stuck by the role of government in ensuring prosecution, I would have just told you that the only thing government can do to encourage others is to ensure they prosecute recalcitrant tax offenders, because that's the only way you can send message to others. There is this compliance model that says that's called the 595, which means that 5% of 5% of the population will automatically not comply no matter what you do. Then 90% of the population will wait for you and see what you do to that 95% that did not that 5% that not comply. Why the other 5% will naturally comply without anybody prompting them. So they'll say, oh, I don't want problem of government, they go to comply. However, the huge part of the population are those 90%, which will wait. The 5% is negligent. Normally, you would have said, okay, this 5%, let's forget about them. But whatever you do to those 5%, will determine what the 95%. And the 95%, yes, because if the 90% does not comply and you do nothing, with time, the 5% that will naturally comply, we also look away. We start looking away. So I think the role of government to ensure prosecution is what? To ensure that the 5%, those that are recalcitrant. So when I say recalcitrant, those are people where you have continuously tried to speak to, you have tried to dialogue with, you have tried to do all sorts of things you need to do to bring them into the tax net or to ensure they pay, but they continually disregard. So you ensure that they are met with the arm of the law. That's what I would simply say as a tax compliance officer.
Okay, thank you. I like the way you said as a tax compliance officer. It's very, very
for me,
important.
that's the right thing to do. That's the right thing to do to send messages.
I agree, and I believe everybody should pay their tax because we can't move forward without it. So I just have one more question to ask you. Okay. Don't run away. Don't run away yet. Are there tools? Are there tools that can be used to improve tax computations for companies? Do you think that companies need there are things that they can do to make sure that they are tax compliant? What do you think, sir?
Okay, when you say tools,
yes.
Now tools are in the realm of the practitioners. Yes, practitioners are there to develop tools and other things. This is where they make their market to ensure tax computation is done. However, in the aspect of tax administrators, yes, many tax administrators have ensured that what they need to do actually to make tax compliance as easy as possible for taxpayers. So, and if you go to many of the tax administrators' websites, FRS, I will start with, has what we call a tax calculator. So now, depending on what kind of tax you want to pay, it helps you to compute your tax. And aside from that, I'll go to the introduction of technology. Right now, that's what we're discussing. And I'm sure many of us are aware that FRS, in recent time, even before this year, have been introducing different kinds of technology for tax administration. And in recent time, one has been very prominent, both for pros and cons. And I'll speak about the pros right now because it also one of the tools, one of the things the Tax Pro Max has is that it helps you in computing your tax because you put in all the parameters. It has a provision for you to put in all the parameters as per your accounts, and it goes ahead to help you accurately calculate your taxes. Also, it does what we call the tax accounting, which means if you have tax credit that is already imputed in the system, it will recognize that. So this is to aid and makes things simple for tax payers and for purpose of tax compliance. So I believe I've answered your question in regards to that. But when it comes to private tools, I'm sure the tax practitioners have several tools that taxpayers can actually log into. But I will not be advertising for practitioners at this time.
No, yes, sir. Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Alfredo, I believe you have a contribution for us.
Yes, about that topic, I think that technology must simplify taxes. It's very important to make more information available for the taxpayers. I think there are a lot of tools with the technologies. For example, pre-file tax returns. There are lots of countries that are doing pre-file tax returns in VAT and also in income. There are new ways to information and assistance to the taxpayer because we need to simplify the tax system to raise the voluntary compliance. It's very important, for example, the prepare declarations to the taxpayer that it will have a lot of benefits. For example, reduce tax compliance costs, for example, reduce the errors in the presentation of the tax declarations, and also increase the post-verification programs. There are lots of countries that I think that facilitating compliance is essential to achieving the tax administration strategy, and technology we will help to the countries. The countries will put the citizen in the center of the transformation and should simplify the tax system with new technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, big data, data analytics. It's very important to simplify, to raise the voluntary compliance. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you so much for that contribution, Mr. Alfredo. I'm not sure if Dr. Armstrong is available. Dr. Armstrong, are you there?
No, it's not on the call.
Okay. So while we wait for Dr. Armstrong, I'll just let Miss Ksenija. Did I get it? Okay. Yes. Hello. Yes. Okay, good. So I just want to ask you, what are the 5 steps that can ease tax filing and compliance? What's your opinion, especially when in regards to businesses? What do you think can help businesses, file their tax and comply better, in these times? Is there technology that they can use? What's your opinion?
So I think that some of these answers gave my colleague, Mr. Alfredo. So of course, compliance is the strategic goal of the tax administrations in general. So we have 2 parallel goals. One goal is, of course, timely collecting the taxes, but another parallel goal is to be good services, to provide good services to the taxpayers and the citizens. So what's that mean? That means that we have to bring something to our taxpayers to move the taxpayers much more in the field of compliance. It could be a different measures. We can have legal measures, for example, horizontal monitoring. We use that in Croatia. So this is some kind of agreement between tax administration and large taxpayers. So this is mutual trust between us. So if the taxpayers play and by the rule of the agreement, the tax audit will be not triggered. So there is the binding rulings also for some future investments, and also APA agreements. So many measures, legal measures, are really available. But other things is to give to taxpayers possibility to fulfill their tax obligations in much simpler way. So that is the e-services or pre-filing the tax returns, and in the field of personal income tax or VAT, actually, why not? If the taxpayers has opportunity to fulfill tax obligations much more simpler, he will be much more in the sphere of compliance. Also, that brings us in the field of simplification of the tax legislation. So we have majority of the taxpayers who are really compliant and minority who is in the criminal field. But we have the group of the taxpayers between them who are not in criminal sphere. They are not fraudsters. But for example, the tax legislation is so complicated that they will say, no, we will not do that because we don't know how. So we have to help those taxpayers to fulfill the obligations, to have the informations on time. I remember, I don't know, decades ago, the tax administration was much more closed, but today we have to be open and also open-minded. So all stakeholders are very important. So if we are talking about the legislation, for example, all the stakeholders, it's much better that they are involved in the legislation. And a good example is European Commission, which has public consultation about legislation, because you can have a beautiful legislation, but it's not applicable, and it's too complex for the practice. So we need applications. We need to use technology to give our taxpayers to fulfill the obligations much easier. And that is also the dual communications with the taxpayers, for example, the sharing the rulings or some notice in the inbox. So this is quite new environment for taxpayers, but also for tax administration also.
Okay, thank you so much. I have another question for you. So, what do you think? Will tax tech threaten the compliance rules in years to come, in the near future? When I mean tax tech, I mean technology advancing tax. So, in the near future, do you think that it can threaten compliance rules in years to come? What do you think?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
So my opinion is that because we are living in a digital era, our environment, business environment, is already changed. Is already changed paradigm between legislation and technology. So it's already shifted. So for legislation, you will have sometimes direct impact of the legislation, how some provisions would look like. So I don't think that tax tech will be so big impact of compliance, but we have to be ready for that, and we are ready also, because this pandemic show us how important it is to think about some things on time. If we don't have this level of digitalization, automatization, for example, in creation tax administration, we have automatic VAT refund. So if you are a compliant taxpayer, you will get your amount of the VAT on your account without any manual work. So it was really important, especially at the beginning of the pandemic when we were in the lockdown. So it's ensure some kind of liquidity for the taxpayers. So I don't think that tax tech it could be even better. So the benefits of the technology we have to use that. If we are talking about the blockchain, machine learning, or DLT technology, so for example, Croatia is the member state of the European Union, so we are in European partnership for the blockchain. So blockchain is not solution for everything, but could be a solution for many things in the field of taxation. Also, sometimes people think blockchain is just for the cryptocurrencies, but that's not true. So I think that technology give us and digitalization give us a special level of transparency. Trust and transparency between tax administration and taxpayers is the crucial. And if we would like to increase the compliance, there will not be a heavier tax burden. That will be increasing the trust between us and the taxpayers. So that's digitalization and technology bring to us, to be much more open, much more transparent. You can see your obligation. You can see many things that before were close to you. So this interaction is something that will bring to us much more revenue than any repressive instrument as I don't know, everyday tax audit or everyday enforcement. They are necessary, but only for the high risk taxpayers. So, of course, the audit and enforcement, we have to build the tools for them. But I think that's my opinion, my experience, that's the most of the important thing for the compliance and for the revenue will be trust and transparency between the taxpayers and the tax authorities.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ksenija. Naomi Thompson, hello. Hi.
Hi there.
Hi there. So I just have one question for you. What can we do about tech literacy? Because, there are times that, a lot of people don't know what is important. We don't know what to do when it comes to tech literacy. I mean, in regards to taxation, even in the law field, the legal field, I don't know. How do we help?
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that question. Yes, it's a huge problem that we have, tech literacy, not just in Africa, but globally. There is still quite a lag around how do we train our children starting in primary and secondary school. If I think about our curriculums, you would normally have a situation where the kids are marched off to a computer lab and then you do it very independently. But for us to be able to train up more tech literate students of the future or employees of the future, we need to see how do we incorporate technology as part of our everyday maths. Are we able to do maths incorporating a computer? Because it's math, science, and technology really does go together. And what about coding? Should coding be compulsory in how we deliver the training to our students? But I have to be cognizant about the challenges that we have, especially in Africa, around internet connectivity. I think in 2020 there was only a 47.1% internet access rate. So and looking at how COVID has impacted, I'm from South Africa, and the minute our country went into lockdown, there was more than 50% of students that could not attend online classes, that could not do their homework because, number one, they did not have access to computers, or they did not have access to internet connectivity. So this, for me, is really a ecosystem that needs to work together. It is the school curriculum, it is private organizations that needs to come together and say, this is how we will partner with you, and this is how we will help to be able to advance tech literacy on our continent.
Okay, thank you so much for that. I agree with you, completely. It's very important that we start from the roots, from the beginning, where children can get to learn from when they are young and their brains can accept such information. So, there are so many children these days that we don't even need to teach them; they just figure it out. So,
Yeah.
yes. So
And just to add,
agree.
just to add to that, Madam Speaker, there in 2030 there will be 230 million jobs that requires digital skills. So how are we going to prepare the students of the future to be able to take up that jobs? We need to have done it already, but it really is critical for us to incorporate those digital tech skills.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Alfredo. I think we'll be closing with just a little bit of information from you. We just want to know: are developing countries prepared for blockchain in tax? What do you think, especially when you infuse technology and blockchain into tax administration? Are developing countries ready for it?
Yes, I think all countries should analyze the benefits and costs to incorporate ICT for when you have a problem, you have to know the best practice, what are doing the countries in the topics. Is essential to analyze the context. For example, now in the pandemic of coronavirus, we need to expand the tax databases, and we don't need to control always the same group of taxpayers. I think countries should incorporate ICT and new technologies only to solve problems, not ICT as a fashion or as a fashion because that country have blockchain, my country will have to go to it. I think it's important to analyze the best practice and to analyze which problem or which work can be automated with the ICT technology. Um, it's very important to put the citizens in the center of the transformation because the different work in paper and the governments don't translate the bureaucracy of the paper to the bureaucracy of the digital world. And it's important, for example, in teleworking, we do the work in a different manner than in an office. And that is the digital transformation. We should analyze the benefits, the costs. I think one of the important of this pandemic is the digitalization, and the digitalization change the habits of consume, change the manner that we work, and change the manner that we learn. For example, in this conference, we are learning for a college expert for all the world, and I think is the best notice the digitalization, and all the countries must explore, because the digitalization is a new opportunity for the countries, and the countries who explore and use digitalization have a new opportunity, because I fully agree with my colleague Ksenija that digitalization bring transparency, and transparency is essential to fight against corruption. Corruption is one of the most important problems, and I hope that new technologies will help citizens to solve this big problem. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alfredo. Okay, since we don't have any other, does anyone like to contribute anything more to this conversation before we end? Okay, so thank you so much for having.
Hello.
Okay, yes. Mr.
Okay, I just want to, the last question you asked Mr. Alfredo about if developing countries were ready. The first thing I would say is that we know technology is a disruption of the order of the day, which many people were not ready for, especially with the advent of COVID-19. There was a lot of disruption in the system, even before then. And I would say even the developed economies are actually not ready yet. However, it's worse in Africa because if you listen to the discussions around the challenges of digitalized economy, you will know that even the developed countries are not fully ready, though they have some things on ground. But if you look at Africa, it's worse because you need a digitalized administration process to be able to capture digitalized economy. So we are now in Africa struggling to first digitalize our processes, our administration processes, before we can actually have visibility to those digitalized transactions. So that is to answer your question. Yes, tax developing countries are not fully ready. However, things are already in place. And I'm sure we all know what is at the national level, what Nigeria FRS is doing. However, at the states, you can know because Dr. Adeniyi already spoke about the levels of taxation we have. The states, I'll tell you that probably only 30% may have something on ground. So the others are still lagging behind. So thank you.
Okay. Hopefully, in the near future, we'll see more implementation of technology for tax, especially. We want to see a future where everything is transparent, where everything is more reliable, and we want an environment where everybody trusts the system, and we can all move forward together. So thank you very much, everyone, for this beautiful and interesting conversation. I've learned a lot. Ksenija, thank you so much. Mr. Alfredo, Dr. Adeniyi, Mr. Olufemi Olarinde, and Naomi Thompson, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we couldn't have Dr. Armstrong, but it's okay. We've learned so much despite all of that. But it's been a pleasure. Hopefully, we get to talk more in future and have more better conversations, basically, about taxation and the future that we hope to build. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.